How are you today, Janelle?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good too. So first thing first, for those people who don't know who you are, can you share a bit about yourself? It could be any accomplishments.
Sure. So I'm Janelle. I am a men's stylist slash barber for about 15 years. I went from just cutting hair at a couple places at some like upper tier men's salons all over the country, some franchises. I ended up going to several, worked in DC, Chattanooga, Atlanta, now in Vegas. And all over, I was able to see the practices that worked and didn't work in each men's salon. So I kind of stayed in that niche market. And I eventually started managing them because I saw all the ins and outs of the business. And eventually got one to get top performing out of 83 franchises across the country. Got that one to be number one and started realizing that maybe this was something I could do for myself. So I eventually went in and kind of reached my ceiling for income, and that was a problem for me. So I went off on my own, and I struggled through a non-compete for a year and went through all my savings. And then I started Bonnie and Clyde's. Me and my brother went off on our own, and then kind of split ways because my non-compete was done. So I went back to the area I was originally in, and then I just kept going with it and grew it after that non-compete was done about 3 months to triple sales. Learned a lot about marketing business because good stylists don't always make good business owners. And I had to learn a totally different skill set. So I scaled up Bonnie and Clyde's. It was going great. I went from being just a barber and managing some stores to being a barber, which in our industry is really rare to make around 160 a year. And so I thought, wow, there's something here. Like, I think I can maybe help people. So I went and decided to open up a full salon scale, found someone that was willing to share my vision, even though I had nothing to give her at the time. And she went in with me. We got a full location. And a year later, we had some coworkers that were struggling in their business, and I asked them to franchise, and they agreed.
Wow.
So we got a full location and a franchise in under 2 years. We just turned to Thanksgiving week. And then I was able to take myself out of the chair instead of being in my business, being outside of it and working on it. I feel like that's so crucial because,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, right? Like cash flow is awesome and stuff. But it's like eventually when you're going to make that tear and be able to scale up, you can't if you're inside of it. And it's so much easier from an aerial view to see things in your business you could be improving. So
Yeah.
so I did that and I was able to get out of it and then grow it. And I actually just finished a coaching program for barbers.
Wow.
The franchise, they were on the brink of just kind of closing down, but they went from that to tripling their sales in 3 months. So those, I thought this works. This is consistently working. This formula that we've created slowly over all these years. So we put into practice, and I will be launching the Barber Biz program in a few weeks, and it will offer coaching as well as franchising possibilities for Bonnie and Clyde's.
Wow, that's a lot. You've been through a lot in the past
Oh
15.
yeah, yeah.
So like, did you go to college or no?
Ooh, great question. No, I did not. I am an uneducated swine. I went to cosmetology school directly out of high school. I was going to career fairs, I had great grades. I was a really good student, but I was just like, none of these majors really speak to me, you know? So I don't know. What about you? Did you go to college?
So personally, yes, just because the family background I'm from, usually you know how like Middle Eastern family, all they're like you'll be a doctor or be like an engineer. So like yeah, but like the whole business entrepreneur mindset, it came to me my junior year. So I'm like, why not just stick to it? So that's why I'm still in college. I'm just like, I'm almost finished. I got a year left. But also like on the side, like I'm not just sitting down and have that excuse like, oh, like I have all these courses and I'm gonna just take my time on the side. I'm doing a couple business things like marketing, doing like helping a lot of salons out. It's crazy how like you just went straight from high school to like entrepreneur. And obviously like 90% of your peers were like, hey, the right thing to do is go after college. How come your mindset was different from like all your other like peers?
Oh, that's a great question. One that like I still, oh, I don't know. Okay. I think I understood that it was very easy. Okay, we've all met hairstylists, right? They're wild. And they sometimes had a hard time shifting like it's time to be at work and be fully present with this person, right? And like it's the Tom show, it's the Adam show, whoever's in my chair right now, that's the priority. And it was really easy to like perform at that level and just understand like it's time to shut off personal. And I was so I think I finally figured out that I could do that all the time. And if I could do that with just a 30-minute haircut, I could probably do that with other things like being sacrificial in finances and putting my comfort aside. So I think like being able to compartmentalize and put my comfort aside was probably the thing that made me feel like it. But honestly, money, right? Like me capping out and like not being able to make any more money was a bugaboo for me. So I think too, I was gonna say, so it's interesting you said that you didn't want to use your school as an excuse and start launching immediately. So the other thing is I got involved with a lot of other coaching programs and stuff to help me. Have you heard of Grant Cardone?
Yes.
Right, the guy's wild, right? Like, but his whole mantra is imperfect action now. And I was like, man, you are an example of that. Like,
Like his daughter, like, oh, she's doing sales training with, she's like 10, 13 years old, and she's like killing it already.
is she really?
Yes, I seen like a couple of videos, and Grant Cardone, like he's such a good father. Like he literally teaches her everything, like how to sign contracts, how to call people. So him teaching her like everything at a young age. Imagine when she turns like 18, 19, like oh, like she'll be a killer in real estate.
That is incredible. Wow. Yeah, you're right. We have no excuses if the 10-year-old is figuring out how to do it, you
Yes,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
That
she has a mentor, but like we have like our mentor is YouTube, you know?
that right there, people have no excuse, you know? What's like your number one person or like podcast or thing you consume all the time to like get yourself in the right mindset?
For me, is this guy I watch a lot. His name is Alex Ramosi. I'm not sure if you know him.
Listen, I'm trying to be Layla Hermosi when I grow up. I love
Uh,
she lives in Vegas and yeah,
yeah.
I was like maybe I'll run into them one day. I love that man.
Oh my God, they're like the top. I even got their book like right here. Look, on the $100 Million Lease by Alex Ramosi.
How is it? I just done the audio, but I feel like the book's probably better.
No, the book is 10 times better. It's like honestly, like if even if this book costs $1,000, it's worth it. Like it's just so it's really good. He dives into like each step on how to get leads, and he breaks it down. He's like, first finish this chapter, and then you can't move on until you did those actions for that chapter. A lot of books are just mainly consuming, but this book's like all action. You read it, you take action. You read it, you take action, and then you just keep going and going. So it is a book I recommend. I also read Offers. I'm not sure if you read that or no.
I, and I loved it. Yeah. This one's
Yeah,
better.
yeah, this one is better.
All right, that's a little fire. Like as soon as we're done, I'm ordering it because highlighting and stuff. So funny you say books too. Like I did spend a lot of time. Okay, this is gonna backtracking. Like this is why it's so important to just not be in your business, but be over it and be able to work on it. And I think that also means like working on yourself and investing in yourself. So I have this really long list of books I feel like were like life changing. And I put it in my course too. So like that one was one. Did you read the 10x?
The 10X, I didn't read that. So it was just one book, right? So like when I was in college, right, I told myself, hey, when I graduate, I'm gonna work at a job, I'm gonna make six figures, I'm gonna be so happy living the American dream. And then until like my friend, he bought me this book. He was like, you should read this. And the way he told me, like he never talks to me like that. He was like, bro, if you read this, like your mind's gonna go crazy. I'm like, what is it? So the book is called The Millionaire Fast Lane. Have you read that?
No, I need to read that. Okay.
So that book, it was like the way he was telling me, I'm like, I can't, I have to read it because like his enthusiasm, he was like, bro, this book is a killer. So that book, it pretty much just shares. that in life that there's like a whole different world that not a lot of people see. And that road is about 10 years, 5 to 10 years. But in that road, you can make like 100K in a month, 200K a month, and like real money, not like the American dream, whatever, like 100K a year, you know? So, and he talks about different strategies, something that's scalable, something that's not scalable. I'll suggest is like if you already have like that business entrepreneur mindset, that book, yes, a good fit, but like it will help a little bit, but not as much for someone that's not business minded, if that makes sense.
No, I totally agree, but I still go back to those books sometimes because I don't think it's if, it is when you get in your own way, right? And like things aren't going well. Like it's so easy for me to work 60, 80 hours a week when everything's going great. But when things are going poorly and we have turnover or we're not keeping staff or we're not training properly, there's a hole there, it's a lot harder. So when you go back to the basics of like, this is why you're doing it, I think it's super helpful. So I mean, I would still be willing to read it just because I will just get in my own head and I'll just go back and read a couple of chapters of like Think and Grow Rich, even like one of the basics. Have you read that one?
I read that a little bit. I didn't dive in super. The way how I like to read books is the same thing like how you mentioned. It just like read a few chapters because a lot of people they're like, oh, like I started this book, I'm gonna finish it. Like after I read like Hormozy's book, I found out that books should be used as a resource, like a textbook, whenever you want to go in and learn something and just leave and then take action and then go in again and then just kind of like reminders and that reinforcement that we all humans need nowadays.
Okay, I like that. That's a cool technique. And I've actually never heard it referred to that way. I've always just like really consumed a book and then referred back to it here and there. Um, but yeah, I guess maybe there's less of a need to do that now. Like you said, if you already have your mindset shifted, I think like initially it helps a lot. But the other book I read that I think was helpful was called The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster. I would recommend to everyone because it's like, hey, so you're gonna get kicked in the face a lot, and it's gonna happen. There's gonna be adversity. It's not if, it's when. So make sure that you understand like this pain or frustration or these hard times are not exclusive to you, because that is like one of those things that I think people give up really quickly. Like, how many of your friends have started a podcast?
One of my friend, he was gonna start a podcast. Guess what happened? He just
What?
quit. Like the
How
on
many
you.
did he?
Sorry,
How many episodes did he get to do?
zero. But like I'm gonna tell you what he did. So he had a whole outline of what episode was gonna be about, but he never took action. And what I told him, I'm like, dude, like my first episode, I didn't even care. I don't have no script. Like just hop on a video call and then all the mistakes you did, you record it and you just see what you can improve on, and then make your script according to that, rather than making a script and then going, you know?
Ooh, ooh, that was very smart. You said just like you're figuring it out because people don't know how many pitfalls they're gonna run into until they do it. So where'd you learn that from?
Hormozy, I literally watch his episodes, but like over and over.
Yes. No, he's so smart. Like I think that's the biggest thing is like we finally have someone that not that business people haven't shared their struggles, but this man is raw that he's like, listen, bankrupt, sleeping on my gym floor, like really painting a picture of all the heartache that goes with it, you know?
I'm not sure if you heard the 5 phases that he mentioned, of an entrepreneur, and like when he mentioned like the roller coaster, like that 5 phases came to my mind is like the first phase is like uninformed optimism, where you see opportunity, you're like, oh shit, like it's cool, like
Yeah.
I'll get in. But then you get informed pessimism, where like, oh, like I'm not sure if it might not work. Then you get the valley of despair, where you feel hopeless and you feel like you can't really do nothing. But then the fourth phase is, if you get to the third and the fourth and you pass those, they're like money. And the fourth phase is informed optimism, where now you're like, oh shit, it works. I made some money. And then from there, you just succeed after that. And it's the same thing as a roller coaster book about, right?
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's interesting. I will say this though. You get through those little bits, but I think sometimes you still backtrack. There's also another book called like What Got You Here Won't Keep You There or something like that. So basically it's like you're gonna have to develop new skills and new process and procedures and things for the phase you're at right now. Like things that worked for me when I was a solo barber don't work for a whole shop and a franchise, like so um I'm gonna have to dive into that. That's interesting.
So obviously, like owning a salon, it comes with challenges as well. It's not all rainbows and sunshines. Um, can you tell us about a significant challenge you faced and that you had to overcome?
Yeah, I would say we're still dealing with it to be really transparent with you. Because if there's one other salon owner who's like, I'm giving up, I'm like, don't just grind through it. It's hiring and replicating yourself, right? Like I documented in great minute detail. I had a 95% retention rate, meaning 95% of people I saw stayed with me long term, which is a very high one. And it's not because I'm so smart and interesting. It's literally because I studied for 15 years what everyone else was doing and what not to do. So it's just plugged it in. That being said, not everyone is going to do what you tell them, even if they watch it work, because they just aren't feeling it some days. Well, that guest doesn't need to know you're not feeling it. So I call it Janelle proofing it, right? Like if I'm not feeling it that day, I am so consistent with every motion, every turn of the chair, everything I do in the order that they can't tell and I can't tell in the moment. I'm so in the zone on performing. So I think that's the challenge is not everyone's willing to do that. Just like Alex Hormozy has information out there, not everyone's willing to consume it. I have an onboarding packet this big that leaves no detail up to question, and I do trainings and I do everything, and there's still people that miss it because like I just wasn't feeling it today. So
Yeah.
that's really hard is to be able to replicate yourself even when they watch success. Not everyone wants success is the other thing is you're gonna go, this person had so much potential. I got my butt kicked by a coach who was like, cool, if I had $1 for every time someone had potential, guess what? They don't want to do it. The potential's not there. You think it exists, but like they don't want your potential. They don't care about you handing it to them. So stop handing it to them. So I would say is knowing when to stop it and accepting that no matter what, some people do not want to be successful.
Mhm. Is there like a system for the training for another employee that comes in and they want to learn? Is it like a system where anybody could follow and then teach them and replicate, or is it more of something that comes natural to you?
So we do have a system because again, just like I Janelle proof myself, I want to everyone proof the process. So yeah, we have not only do we have our handbook, right, but then we have an onboarding packet. And in our onboarding packet, we have like a whole tab on what to do in the consultation, what to say, so that it foolproof, like, hey, you don't miss anything, there's no misinterpretations. This is how guests are expected to be greeted. We have a front desk manual so you can refer back to if you run into something you don't know. I've had people freaking out like, I just don't even know how to do that. I'm like, okay, so underneath the front desk is a book that's literally has pictures of everything. Like, so that's an excuse, right? So we just don't leave it up to the imagination, even down to conversation, right? We've now logged in like when people don't have the gift of gab, and I don't care what anyone said. There's a handful of people, this 5% that want to just take a nap during a haircut. The rest, they want to connect. They want to feel important. Men don't get compliments, but like once a year, they want to get compliments. They want to feel engaged. Like I don't care if it's totally platonic. Like that is just part of the norm and you could help make someone feel important and special. But yeah, some people just aren't feeling it that day. They didn't sleep great. They had an argument with their boyfriend and they bring it into work. And sometimes there's just nothing you can do about it but correct the behavior. But yeah, we have documents for documents.
Yeah, yeah, it creates a connection. I heard this other thing, like people are worried about like AI is gonna take over our jobs, and I think no and yes, because no, because people they want a connection. Like people don't go to a salon or a robot to cut their hair. Like they want to have experience with to talk to someone, make a connection, go out to eat after or something like that. So
Absolutely. Yeah. What's the one job though that you think might get replaced by AI?
I feel like with food. a lot of food jobs, like for example, like McDonald's. Like when I went to a restaurant a couple months ago, and we ordered food, and then a robot with a tray on the bottom. It was like a machine. We just picked our food, and then the robot just left.
That is, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think food jobs for sure.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. You don't need a personal connection with the person, just the food, but it doesn't hurt. It definitely doesn't hurt. So,
But the food makes a connection. Who doesn't like food?
right? Those people, you met those people like, oh, I forgot to eat. I'm like, I don't struggle with that. I don't understand how that happens throughout the day. Like, I do not forget. That's
Yeah.
an, but also, do you feel like it's part of your culture too? Because it is part of mine that like food is kind of an important bonding experience.
Yeah, of course. Because I feel like when food comes on the table, yeah, we talk a little bit, just talking about any good things that we all came through. It's like a fun environment where everyone just gets together. Throughout the day, everyone's just busy, with their daily life, either with work or school or anything. But when it comes to dinner, everyone just talks, and we just like bring our ideas together. So yeah, for sure, it does bring like everyone together.
Can I ask you one more question? I think it's interesting. So you mentioned that you're from like a family that's very traditional, like be a doctor, be a lawyer. So how has that been in your family environment? Like a lot of us have very traditional families that I feel like are like, I don't understand what you're doing here. Have you gotten that or you've gotten a lot of understanding from your family about your what you're trying to do?
So with my family, like my mom, like her main thing is finish college, and then she's like, whatever you want to do after college, that's fine. She thinks that like with the degree, I'm kind of like secured like 100%. So like even if I start a business after college, and then I fail maybe for a year, a couple months, I can still go back and get a job. So that's her main thing, just get that degree. But she doesn't really mind if I go into business or become a lawyer or a doctor. But I know some families, they're like strictly, like doctor 100%. My child's gonna be a doctor or a lawyer. But in my family, it's not that crazy. So I'm happy.
That's awesome because I think that they're smart. Then um, I had a client who was a doctor, and he eventually got into business, right? And he came up with like a sports medicine complex, started not only owning the practices but the buildings, and there's no way he could have ever just out doctored his income and success. Like he had to go into business at the end of the day. So I feel like that's the highest paying job there is.
Yeah, yeah. So I know a lot of people in like business, they think that when they open up, they're just gonna get customers. Obviously not, like promoting is gonna be a big factor in this. What kind of marketing strategies have you used to effectively promote your salon or your personal brand, either with coaching?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I was in a program that helped me with that. First was guerrilla marketing, just like basically going down to like mechanic shops and passing out my card, chasing someone down a parking lot. Like you cannot be shy. You have to have really thick skin, prepare to hear no, right? Because no's lead to yeses eventually. It's a numbers game. Chasing people down. I got up, dressed up in suits and stuff and stood on the side of the road. Like I did not care. Even this is when I worked for someone and myself because I was way more scared of a bad bank account than feeling comfortable. So
Mhm.
I would do that. Then the coaching program showed me how to more do it online. The problem though, it was focused towards salons. So I had to adjust it a lot to fit for attracting like a male clientele. So a lot of social media, LinkedIn, Facebook. Then I went into paid ads, um, and then did partnerships, events. Like we would do, I'll give you one little secret. So we do one because the rest of it's in my program, but we do partnerships. So we write a letter, a nice letter, type it up, talk about like, let's say we got into a very exclusive condo complex by us. We're in Buckhead, Atlanta. It's like a very high end area. So we write it. We say we think we have the same clientele. We'd love to partner up with you. We'd love to give your residents a offer. So we put in a bag. We have Bonnie and Clyde soap that we've custom labeled, and so we put that in there, or we put a bottle of champagne and we drop it off. Then we call.
Mm.
It's not just cookies or anything. It's something unique. Either they're gonna go and drink the champagne, or we try to do some research. Okay, who is it? Okay, they might like this better. or soap or whatever, and it makes a gesture. Then we call again. And finally we stop by one more time. Like we don't, it's 3 to 5 times, but we've gone in there and hosted events. So then we'll host an event where it's like complimentary old fashions, because that's our thing. We do a complimentary bourbon with each service, and then old fashions on Fridays and Saturdays. So we're not like a deal. We're not, that's not our thing. Our thing is like a top tier quality service that people are willing to pay a little bit money for. So we have to fish with that bait. So it works, you know, even if we get 10 customers out of that one thing at a time, it's crazy. But my biggest thing is like, there is no secret. It's not real. This is not, there's not one thing that's going to like propel you to the next stratosphere. That is not real. And there's some days you're going to do everything you possibly could do, and the phone's not going to ring. And you're just going to have to sit there and be okay that maybe it will Friday. Like there is not a damn thing you can do about it. So the stop with the like, oh god, this Facebook ad is gonna that's it. No, it's a culmination of constant effort and consistency, and sitting when you don't want to sit and waiting for people.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much did like the four platforms that Alex Hormozy he mentioned. That it was like you could either do like paid ads, you could do like one to one. Yeah, so like me personally, I did door to door. So like I know
Wow.
I did it for 3 years too.
What did
Yeah,
you do? What were you selling?
I was selling Verizon for like home internet, TV, everything with that. And then also like I would build like relationships with the customer and be like, hey, like, are you in this industry? Are you into marketing? And then we could have like food afterwards. So like I was really good making a connection with the customer. And also like I always like sold a lot of people. For me, it was like once I get in someone's house, like I'm not leaving. Like I'm gonna sell. So I got a lot of experience with that. And now like I'm transitioning into one to one to one to many. So like paid ads, all those, but like for myself, obviously now.
Wow, that is wild. That takes some like a different level of guts for real. That's cool. So what after that do you feel like what was the most effective for you then? Paid ads?
So afterwards, I started doing like content, organic content. So not paid ads. I'm getting to paid ads right now because I feel like, let's say if I reached out to you, right, on Facebook or Instagram, and the first place a person would go to is my platform. Do I have content on my social media, or only have like one post, a random post? So just creating that organic content, it leads to a higher rate of a customer contacting you back. So that's what I found. But once you get organic content and you combine it with paid ads, then it's like ultimate. Then it's like your chances of like getting and converting each customer, it goes even beyond the point.
Absolutely, I would agree with you. And I will just say this is for me personally. I don't know about any other salons, but the organics still beats out 50%, 67, depends on the month. All paid. Everything we do that's paid. Every time. We organically spend time reaching out to guests, and it is way more effective still. But we don't have a choice, right? If we want to blow it up, we got to do all of it.
Yeah, exactly. Before we head our way out, what is some advice you would give to your younger self that is 15 years old or in a high school or college that wants to start their business, either in the beauty industry or just be an entrepreneur themselves?
Ooh, okay. I would tell her, I hate to tell you, but just going to college and getting a job is not secure. It's actually crazy. You will not just reach success for only going the default mode. Don't do it. You won't be happy. So you need to get rid of all those lies and every limiting belief first before you do anything else. So do everything you can to spend time getting to know yourself and shedding your limiting beliefs.
Awesome. So thank you for sharing your insights and experiences with our audience. But before we wrap up, where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about Bonnie and Clyde Barbershop?
So you can learn more at www.bonnieandclydebarbershop.com. Bonnie and Clyde's Men's Salon is actually our handle on Instagram, and Bonnie and Clyde's Men's Salon also on TikTok. We have some really, really stupid, silly videos on there.